It's time to introduce our first speaker of RainCamp. Ben Kinney, real estate agent extraordinaire, founder of Internet Marketing Specialist designation, and, well, just all-around foodie and nice guy.
Hey, I'm excited to be here today. I'm not as chipper as Chad, and I'm not as nice as Bob, but I'm going to have some fun this morning. I'm excited partially because everybody speaking after me are amazing agents, and they're covering great topics. And I'm going to be a little bit more generic this morning, but hopefully I'll tell you about what I'm thinking about. And I'm getting to the point where it's almost September in a couple of days, and we're trying to figure out how are we going to survive in 2013, because in my mind 2012 was already gone. And what I've noticed is there's some new rules in real estate. There's some new things that are changing, and there's some things that are affecting the way that we do business. And I just wanted to throw some of these ideas out there so you guys can start thinking about what does next year have in store for you, and what alterations to your business should you start thinking about. And throughout the entire call, I think we'll have Bob and Chad hanging out with us as well. So what's happening in today's market, and what's going on in my head? Well, I've been noticing that in our market, and I'm in Washington State, and we service from Seattle north to the Canadian border, that the economy is changing for us, that our inventory levels for available listings are changing, and that how we market and what marketing efforts are actually successful are changing as well. And then there's been some pretty major changes to the internet. And I just want to spend some time today going through some of these things, and maybe throw in some scripts and dialogues that you can use with your potential customers, buyers, and sellers, and how can you explain what's going on today and maybe motivate some people to write some more offers or reduce some prices or carry on. Now, the economy. It's a weird year because it's an election year. You never really know what's going to happen. But there is some interesting things that are going on around the nation. I was introduced to a hedge fund gentleman the other day, referred by a couple of great agents. One of them's on the call today, Jennifer from Memphis. Thank you so much for that referral. But this gentleman from Manhattan comes into Seattle and says that he wants to buy a certain amount of homes, and he wants to buy them all across the U.S. using money from hedge funds. And he says that we believe that the market is going to be turned in anywhere from 12 to 24 months, depending on where you are across the nation, and that he believed that you only had between 12 and 18 months to make good purchases that will appreciate over the next 7 years. And their goal is to buy somewhere around 25,000 homes and then sell those homes in 7 years. And I thought, well, if the smart money from Manhattan is rushing into the market right now to start buying, and they're planning on only holding for 7 to 8 years, isn't that a good message to bring out to our potential buyers to say, hey, if the people with billions of dollars are buying real estate right now, isn't that your sign? Isn't this the time when people are going to be looking back and saying to your kids, if I would have bought a home in 2012, wow, my life would have been different today. I think there's a lot of signs that our economy is getting better, but when the economy changes, things in our industry will change, and our activities and our actions and our marketing efforts will also have to adjust. Well, the things that I'm paying attention to right now are interest rates. We're still at historic lows. When I explain it to clients, I let them know that interest rates have not been this low since 1972 when Freddie Mac started tracking interest rates. That prices are really at all-time lows. We're seeing them start to increase across the nation. There's a variety of markets where prices are actually increasing right now. But when we look back in time, prices today are at the current levels they were nationwide in about 2003. And then we have the Affordability Index. The Affordability Index says that based on the average American's income, what percentage of their monthly income does it take to purchase the average priced home? And right now the affordability index is at an all-time low, which means it takes the least amount of money of your annual income to own a home. And then we look at selection. And it's funny because we were meeting with the agents on our team this week, and they said, well, the buyers, they just aren't finding anything. And I laugh back to 2004 or 2005 and say, I used to show buyers 3 homes, and they would fight naked in the streets over those 3 homes because that's all they had, and they had to choose one of those 3. Now they have 50 to choose from, and they still can't find anything that works for them. We add all four of these things together, and this becomes our scripts and dialogues for buyers that are saying, is today a good time to buy? Should I wait? Well, let me just roll it up for you and explain that to you if today is a good time. Well, rates are historic lows. They're as low as they've been since 1973. Prices are as low as they were in 2003. Affordability has never been lower because you understand that affordability is more a factor of interest rates than anything else, and you have more homes to choose from than really you ever have. When I add all those things together, it becomes a perfect storm. It is the single best opportunity I've ever seen for buyers to own a home today. So I think that we should take the next step and start looking at properties. But if you're still uneasy about it, how would you like if I gave you a list of the 10 best priced properties in town? Those things might include properties that are bank owns, foreclosures, and short sale properties. The best price, maybe homes that are another 10 or 15% cheaper than what everybody else is paying today. If I could do that, would you be interested in buying today? And you start using all these scripts and dialogues so that the customers get excited and motivated to go out there and buy a property. Well, there's a major inventory change that's happening across the nation, and we have many friends from all over the U.S. on the call today. But as you notice, as prices start to increased prices is normally a function of availability of inventory. As the inventory shrinks, the number of homes currently for sale, the prices will continue to rise. And it isn't until everybody gets that memo that there'll be more inventory that comes onto the market. See, we have some things right now that are affecting the number of homes that are available for sale. The first thing is that the number of REOs that are actually being put on the market is really, really low. A lot of the banks are consolidating their efforts. They're not giving their REO accounts out to outsourcers, and the major REO business is only coming from Fannie, Freddie, HUD, VA, which was just awarded to VRM, and then the four big boys, as I call them, Citi, Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America. Those are the major REO banks that are out there. Many of those institutions are deciding to rent out those properties instead of actually putting them up for sale because they know that over the next 12 to 24 months prices will rise and they'll get to the point where they can get a better return on their investment. So when we start thinking about, well, how do we get more listings this year? Well, if REOs are going to slow down, it's not going to come from that. Well, new construction, that's another interesting thing. Right now, it is actually cheaper to buy a home in most markets than it could actually cost you to build one on your own. And it isn't until that inverses and before builders will start building again. And then what you'll see is that a whole bunch of your available lots that are currently sitting vacant will get built, and there'll be another 12 to 24 month gap before all the developers can get new plats and new land identified and built out. So you'll see a reduction in the amount of new construction homes. Well, this next one isn't going to be true in all markets, but it certainly is true in my area. The number of canceled and expired listings are dramatically lower, probably down over 50%. That means that either customers are not relisting their properties, so they're not expiring, or many of the properties that are actually getting listed are finally selling. Well, when the number of canceled expired listings starts getting reduced, our ability to generate new listings becomes tougher and tougher. And we have to rely on number 4, which is what Debbie's going to talk about today, which is, leveraging our sphere again, going out there and finding available friends and families that may have a property they'd like to sell today. Well, one of the calls that we're making is just kind of going out to general neighborhoods. It's going out to our past clients in our sphere, and it's just saying right now, for the first time in many, many years, we're seeing that there isn't enough of good property choices for all the buyers that we've been able to capture online and through our marketing efforts. And I'm calling to see if you know anybody that's thinking about buying or specifically selling their home in the next 30 to 60 days that I might be able to match with some of my hundreds of buyers that are currently looking in town. We have a postcard that's designed, it's just sitting on my desk somewhere here today, and it's actually going out to all of our sphere telling them the same thing. Hey, we need properties that are currently for sale. We need to find some people that want to put their home on the market to match them with all of our available clients. We need to start finding ways to find additional customers. Well, the type of customers we're going to be dealing with over the next 12 to 24 months is changing as well. And I think what customers expect of us will change, and part of that will come through us understanding what customers want and what customers need. And we're going to be kind of blessed today to have a good friend on the call, Sue Adler. And Sue Adler is a owner and partner in a company called Here at Direct, which is a conference that's going around the United States, and it is asking consumers what they thought about the home buying process. What did they pay attention to online? What did they think about their agents? What did they think about the financing process? What would they change? What did they like? Well, at some point we need to start listening to our clients and listening to consumers and hearing more, what do they want? I saw a great video from Here at Direct where they went through and they searched on a whole bunch of websites, and what we found when Sue asked them, they didn't even see the ads that were placed on the side. The ads on those really, really large portals, they weren't noticing them. They just skipped right past them. So when we start identifying what customers want, we can start deciding how are we going to spend our money? Where are we going to invest our marketing dollars next year? So I have a list of customers that I'm really interested in finding over the next 12 to 24 months. Well, the first group is first-time home buyers, because in my market, about 50% of all transactions are being sold to first-time home buyers, because many of the second-time home buyers are still underwater on their properties, or they've had a recent foreclosure or a recent short sale. So we're trying to find buyers that are interested in taking advantage of the rural home loan, which in my market allows most of our areas for consumers to buy at zero down, or FHA and VA buyers that can buy for anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. So we're focusing on finding first-time home buyers. And I'll tell you about kind of how we're going to get to them in a minute. The second thing is investors, finding people from small to large investors, individuals that want to buy anywhere from 1 to 2 additional rentals to as many as 30, 40, or in some cases, hundreds and hundreds of properties. Investors that are interested in buying at 15 to 20% below market for the purpose of either flipping and or holding for 5 to 7 years. Finding investors is becoming easier and easier as they're getting more confident that we're getting closer to the bottom and that their investment is going to be more secure, and they aren't feeling as confident about their money being invested in the stock market. Teaching investors how they can put their money into an IRA and use that IRA to purchase properties tax-free. There's ways to find loopholes for investors that'll give them the maximum return on their money. One of the things we're doing at our offices is doing an investor cafe every Thursday where investors and first-time home buyers get to be invited to learn about buying investment properties and also see the available inventory that's coming up at the auction the next day, and also the available properties, the short sales and REOs, the new ones for the week, trying to create a sense of urgency so that the customers come back every week trying to get that special new list of properties that just hit the market. Additionally, we're interested in relocation clients because so many of the people that are able to purchase in our markets are coming here because of job growth. Trying to find relocation people is pretty easy because they don't know any agents and they have nobody to work with. So they're either going to be choosing somebody that are referred by their company, their employer. So it's important that you're finding ways to build your business with the HR departments, maybe coming up with an employee benefit plan. Maybe we'll do a whole call on that coming up in the future. And also finding these people when they first start searching for a home, which has been kind of our business model for a long time, which is why we created city guides like Live Bellingham and LiveSeattle.com. And also focusing on internet marketing because that's where consumers go first to search for properties, as you guys all know on this call. And then fourth one is an interesting thing is foreign investors. Looking for individuals that would like to invest in the United States for either one or two reasons. Number one, they want a second property and they just want to buy. This year we've so far sold properties to Koreans, Chinese, of course Canadians because we're close to the border, Australia, England, Dubai, and all of these foreign investors, all these foreign buyers are currently just searching on the internet and finding our websites and then buying here in the U.S. Now, the additional foreign programs that we're working with. If anybody's on the call, type it into the chat message if you can. Have you guys heard of the EB-5 program? Well, the EB-5 program is a program that was taught by one of our leaders here in our area. His name is John Weinstra. And John helped take this government program called EB-5 and use it to create new projects and new opportunities in our market. What the EB-5 program is a program that was created by the government that is meant to encourage foreign investment dollars to be invested in the United States for the purpose of creating job growth. And the EB-5 program allows a foreigner to invest a minimum of $500,000, and that $500,000 simply has to stay invested for a minimum of 5 years and has to create at least 5 full-time jobs. If all 3 of those things are completed, then that foreign investor can get a green card for them and their entire family. So we're looking at ways to leverage the EB-5 program to get foreign investors from China and the Asian countries, Canada, and other areas that really want to bring their family to the United States. And we can use that money to buy investment projects, to fund projects for our current builders, our current developers, and also to help sell some of our investment properties. Now, if you're curious about any of those kind of more advanced things, feel free to reach out to us. Now, sellers, what I'm noticing about this market is they're a lot more offer-driven. They're going to respond to very direct marketing, and we'll give you some examples of that. And I think Ryan Dallas, who's going to be presenting today, will be talking a lot about some of his offers and how it makes his phone ring. We're still looking at distressed sellers, understanding that short sales are going to be important for at least for the next couple years. Finding short sales and helping sellers work through the short sale process is going to be important, and we still want to take them. We believe that there's going to be a lot less properties actually foreclosed on, and a lot more companies that are actually going through the process of encouraging their property owners to do a short sale instead of let it go to foreclosure. You can see that because companies like GMAC, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America are actually teaching classes in local markets on how to do a successful short sale. They're actually sending letters out directly to consumers, giving them the opportunity and advice to maybe try a short sale. When they do that, they also give a link back to their website on the recommended list of agents that are available to do short sales for them. Those are one of those things that you guys need to figure out. How do you make sure that your name's on that list? When somebody goes to the Bank of America website, are you on one of their recommended vendors for a short sale? And all the other major institutions like Wells Fargo, Citi, and Chase. Now, unoccupied homes are important too. Some of the people that aren't paying attention to their properties as much, you can go out there and get a list of these properties from your title company and then find a way to either call them or send them a piece of mail letting them know that now's a good time to put their home on the market because the amount of inventory has shrunk. And then we're always looking for move-up clients, trying to find consumers that own a property that have a little bit of equity or at least enough to sell it so they can move in and take advantage of these discounted homes and the cheap interest rates today. That's one of the reasons on top of every one of our for sale signs we advertise that if you buy this home, I'll sell your home for free, because we want to make sure that we are allowing customers that don't think they have the equity to sell their property to get excited about trying to buy now. Now, I've noticed some big changes in marketing, and for years I've been telling everybody to stay away from the silly marketing. The silly marketing is the stuff that just costs a lot of money but actually doesn't give you any really good return on investment. You know, when we go on a listing presentation, we often talk about print advertising and how if we took the Bellingham Herald and the Real Estate Book and the Harmon Homes magazine and all those different print publications and we stacked them on top of each other, it would probably hit the roof. And that last year, less than 3% of all transactions came from that form of print advertising, yet most agents spent 80 to 90% of their budget on that type of marketing. And we always ask the sellers, isn't that silly? But what I've noticed is there isn't as much mail anymore, that agents have pulled out of a lot of different forms of marketing because they ran out of money. Well, when everybody leaves, when everybody is gone, that's when you go back in. You know, mail maybe some forms of print advertising if it's affordable and trackable. Those aren't entirely dead. They were just diluted by the amount of mass junk that we're getting. When you went to your mailbox and every day there was 4 or 5 just listed postcards for random agents, it was hard to stand out. Well, now you can run a postcard. Here's one of Ryan's postcards that's bold, offer-driven, and says, call us now. This could be effective in today's market because there isn't anybody else doing it. Start looking around your market and see where's everybody left that I could go back into. Because when there's nobody there, you're going to be the one that gets noticed. When we're thinking about marketing, we're thinking about buyers. Of course, we're going to be capturing buyers online. It's still a huge part of our business, and that's what we teach in IMSD, and that's where my business comes from. The 1,500 to 2,000 buyer leads that we generate every single month is just coming directly from internet advertising, Craigslist, Google, a little bit of social media, some portals, and so on. For capturing buyers, we said earlier, but classes are going to be a major focus for us over the next 12 to 24 months, offering first-time home buyer classes and investment classes and how to buy your first foreclosure and how to buy a short sale classes, allowing people to come for free and come to your office. Make sure you get everything paid for by your affiliates and your vendors and get them helping to advertise and promote people to come there. Number 3 is signs and flyers. As the number of listings gets reduced, your signs and flyers will stand out more and more. Make sure that your signs and your flyers brand you, not just your real estate brokerage. Very important that you're getting noticed, and they don't just think that your brokerage is doing a lot. They know that it's actually, Debbie that's the one that's selling a whole bunch of properties. And then, funny enough, as the inventory reduces, open houses start becoming successful again. We had an open house in Seattle the other day that had 124 people through in 3 hours. It's changing. When the market changes, some of these things become more successful. When it comes to finding sellers, which is really my focus for the next 12 to 24 months, is how can I find as many sellers as possible? We're getting back into the business of sending letters, sending postcards, advertising on radio and going into TV because it's becoming cheaper and cheaper, and maybe in specific circumstances doing a little bit of print advertising as long as it's effective and I can track the number of calls and leads that we're generating in. Now, the funny thing is what still, oh Bob, sorry, we did slip a picture in there on there, apologize. Still, whenever we're advertising, even when it's traditional advertising, mail, letters, radio, television, those types of things, we're still all driving them to a website. This is my sellerschallenge.com website. Feel free to check it out. Just if you register as a lead, just select the button that says you're an agent so my poor staff doesn't harass you all day long. But all of our efforts are still directing people online. We may be using traditional forms, print, mail, mass media, but we're still taking them to the internet. Or we're sending simple postcards. One of the things that we started doing is we took 8.5 by 11 note cards, and we're sending out gigantic thank you card styles, opened up letters to all the Canc that expires and FSBOs that we could find, letting them know that we're confident that we can sell their properties. And then a letter that I stole from a friend in Memphis, Jennifer, we're sending out Canc that expired letters along with the note cards. So, sending out one the first day and another one a couple days later, making sure that we're hitting everybody that maybe the other agents weren't able to get a hold of on the phone. So since there's less canceled expires, we're adding mail to the mix. As we get to internet marketing, Chad, if you're still with me, I want to talk about some of the changes that have happened online. And Chad, why don't you go through and tell us what are some of the changes that Google did with their new Panda update?
Oh my gosh, we don't have the time to get into it here in detail. The Google Panda update is totally changing everything that's happening out there. What's happened is Google's basically attempting to become a human. It's kind of the short form of it, and they're attempting to actually figure out the people that are tricking the system and playing the games with it, Ben. So they're changing how keywords are working. They're changing some of the information that's happening on Google. They're changing how they're sorting websites. They're changing what reciprocal links versus productive links are doing in your SEO values. It's just amazing the things that Google Panda has changed and that Google Penguin is now changing already after Google Panda that we're seeing happen.
Well, we noticed that unique content becomes one of the most important things, and creating unique content that hasn't been stolen from somewhere else and that makes your website a valuable place to go is going to be the future of search engine optimization. And that's why ActiveRain is so powerful, because we have hundreds of thousands of users that are writing millions of pages of unique content, which makes the search engines love Google, which is why when you post post on ActiveRain in 24 hours, you're at the top of the search engines, where you could post the same exact thing on one of my websites and it won't show up for weeks or months or never. Craigslist is changing as well. The Craigslist is getting smarter about who gets to post ads and the people that are spamming, and you got to be consistent, and you got to think of new ways to make sure that you're leveraging Craigslist for the amount of leads that are possible. Doing things like making sure that if you're using a virtual assistant to do that, which we use one from myoutdesk.com, that when they do, they actually log into a computer here at my office using logmein.com to make sure that the Craigslist thinks that the post is being done from my actual city here in Bellingham, Washington. There's tactics to make Craigslist pay, and I know there's great agents in different cities. The Addition Group in Seattle is generating just tons and tons of leads from Craigslist because they're figuring out ways to make it work for them. And then portals, the things like realestate.com and Zillow and Trulia, those will become more effective as the number of listings on those websites reduces. When your listing is on page 27 of 25 properties per page, it's hard to make sure that your listing is generating leads. But as the listings reduce, you'll generate more and more listings from these major national sites. I've told you guys this before, and I'll tell you again, the agent with the most amount of signs in the yard is going to be the agent that wins. Now, social media, there's been a lot of changes in social media, but we're going to kind of pass that for now. I'm telling you that you got to have a plan for next year. Our plan for next year is how do we generate as many listings as possible, know that our listings will be the fuel to our fire, they'll be the inventory for our store, and the agent with the most amount of listings will be the agent that wins. I want to make sure that I have a business with at least 8 different legs. Those legs are going to be different sources of leads and different sources of business. If any one of those things change, like REO goes away or new construction goes away or our sphere can't buy or sell, I want to make sure that I still have a business. And I beg you, if you're on the call today, to make sure that you're getting your 6 to 8 different sources of business outlined and come up with a system or a plan in place to make sure that you can generate enough leads to feed you, your family, your team, or your brokerage, depending on what role you're in, going forward next year. I think next year could be a changing point for your business. It's going to be a changing point for mine, and we're going to grow like we've never grown before. I know that there's new rules coming into real estate, and I hope that you keep coming back to RainCamp and listening to our different trainings that Bob and Chad and the whole group here is willing to share. And Bob and Chad, I thank you guys for letting me come on today. I know Bob and I will be back in interviewing some of our agents later, but let's bring up the next person, and thanks for having me here.